Hi everyone, so we're up to week 8. Now, in week 8 you should be in the last stages of refining for each of your selected concepts in preparation for producing the final presentations. So this week, if you've got time, you can actually make a start on those final presentations. This week you need to be completing your mock-ups and starting to think about producing your final presentations. You would have been reflecting and recording the design thinking behind your decision making with lots of annotations, and the annotations make your intentions really clear to your teacher, that is me, and when I mark your work I need to read those annotations. The annotations will also give you information that you require to create your pitch. So if you feel your annotations have been sparse, it might be useful to add some retrospectively. Obviously it's better to do them at the time or live, but if you do need to now or this week, you should go back and fill the gaps a little bit. Your design thinking also needs to be explained in your pitch with regard to your final presentations and how they fulfill the brief. So if you feel it might be helpful, you can prepare for your pitch by acquiring feedback from a focus group to represent your target audience. Focus groups can be made up of classmates, family or friends, or even your real client. So think about who your audience could be. This could be a single person, fellow students, members of the school community. Obviously, try to make it as close to your real audience as possible. Think about when you're going to set this up, this focus group. Set up the time and the date, and note down any interesting phrases or comments that they make when they're looking through your work. 1 or 2 is sufficient, and it'll just help to really, add a bit of wow to your pitch and make it seem a lot more authentic. So if you remember back in week 2, there was a video explanation about the pitch and what it was all about. So if you haven't watched that video, you need to go back to week 2 and have a look at it. So hopefully in the background you've been thinking about the pitch, thinking about that reality TV show called Dragon's Den, where they actually pitch ideas to fund and start a business. Those of you who know of Kickstarter, you may have seen some pitches on Kickstarter. So hopefully in the background you've been having a little bit of a think about your pitch for your SAT. Now here's the timeline suggested for it. So this week you can create a draft or outline of your pitch, and also the evaluation criteria questions, and I'll respond to that this week. Next week you obviously continue working on your final presentations. Week 10 you should probably start to create your pitch, and obviously in week 11 you're submitting your final folio, your final presentations, and you're also submitting the pitch. Now you need to think also this week about delivery methods for the pitch, and I'm going to ask you to nominate what you're going to do. You could just create a Word document with annotated images, that'd be fine. If you've got Adobe Acrobat, you could do the same there, again with annotated images. You could use PowerPoint, where you add your images and text with animations. You could come in live and deliver the pitch in front of me. I might even ask if I could videotape it, which would be good. You could also do it via Polycom at your school, so that would be interview style. Or you could do a screencast like what I've done here, and you can ask me what software I've been using. So just give us an email. So have a think about which one you're going to do. Now preparing the pitch, it must be able to be seen in hard copy, so you need to prepare what you're going to show. So think about, will you need to photograph your final presentations? If so, you're going to need higher quality photos. Think about which folio pages you'll show, which are the key pages in your design process. Think about how you're going to load your files into the pitch. Will the pages be scanned, or do you already have digital copies? The good thing about you doing an online course is that most of you have got digital copies of all of your work, because you have to send them in to me anyway. Think about how you're going to include the responses to your evaluation criteria. You'll write these this week in the question page after this video, and I'll return these to you via email with my comments, so you'll have a hard copy of them anyway to keep and print out. Now, let's talk about the evaluation criteria. These are really going to help you to assist you in describing how you're going to think the final presentations meet the brief, and how well you use the design process. So you'll need to send these in this week. So you'll need to create 2 evaluation criteria. One will be for Group 1, which is a criteria that you use to assess your own final presentations. And Group 2 will be, again, criteria you use to assess how your overall design process has been used. Now, you can write your response or include any responses acquired from your focus group, along with your annotations throughout the folios, and this response will be the basis for the content of your pitch. Now, just quickly, I want to give you some suggestions for how to structure your pitch. So, the first slide, or the first thing you do will really be to introduce the design problem, your name, who you are, and give an explanation, even with pictures, of what the solution is. The second slide you could do is to talk about what the final presentations are. Go through them each one, presentation 1, then presentation 2, and actually label down the method, media, and materials. Now, you don't have to use the order suggested here, it's just to give you a bit of an idea. And obviously, slide 3 would be the second presentation, as shown here in this example. Now, your pitch will have annotations or notes near the 2 images for each presentation to explain how they met the requirements of the design brief. And this can include phrases from your design brief, the responses to your evaluation criteria questions for Group 1, reasons for the materials, methods, and media used, and an explanation of the design elements and design principles, including aspects that will attract the target audience. Now, this slide can be optional, but this could be like a zoom in to, to one part of your image to explain some key things about your design. Slide 6 could be annotations on your pitch from this point, could be copied from your folio, and they really just reflect your thinking at the time. So this example is for research. Clickety click, click, click. Slide 7 could be a really good example from a folio page of your idea generation. Pick the most exciting page that's got a good variety of different methods and media. Here we've got some pen and there's some photographs. There's a photograph of a real product, so that would be good. You need to think about the reasons why you chose some of the research images for inspiration, reasons why you rejected some research. That's an example of your critical thinking. You can look at how particular ideas were influenced by research, which is an example of creative thinking. I've just said that, so just forget that. I just lost my place. Also, in this slide, you could think about the visualization, 2D and 3D sketches you used, and how this helped communicate, and also to cement or bypass any of your ideas, and talk about the media that's been used. Slide 8 would be where you'd put some example folio pages of development of your concept, and your annotations would have things about why you chose some of the ideas to develop into concepts. It's an example of creative thinking. It might also have reasons why you included some visualization and presentation drawings to communicate concepts, an example of critical thinking. And it may also have annotations where you describe some of the methods, drawing, painting, printing, photography, computer, collage, three-dimensional methods you used, and how this helped to cement or scatter your ideas further, which would be an example of reflective thinking. And you also want to talk about the media that you've used. And slide 9, which would really be your final slide, you could, with annotations, explain your design thinking during the refinement stage. And this can include reasons why you chose specific ideas to refine. You need to express and state how you explored the design elements and design principles. You could talk about the software you used. You can talk about the media you used, and you can really go into a bit of detail in this slide about how the final presentations were chosen. So you can see with that little example there, it's really, between 6 to 12 different images, pages or slides to explain your design thinking throughout the design process. So in conclusion, for week 8, really you want to be completing your refinement. You want to make sure you've got a mock-up, which is a small version or rough copy before you do your final presentation. You actually want to start making your final presentations, or at least getting prepared for it, making sure you've got all your materials, your methods, making sure you've got your equipment, making sure you've got help if you need it. And the final thing you need to do is to create these evaluation questions for your pitch for Group 1 and Group 2. And once you finish watching this, you can actually do that as the next task. I'll link you to a question page where you can complete that.